Right, okay, question 17. At a football game, the ratio of the number of men to the number of women to the number of children is 13 to 5 to 7. Okay, so we've got men to women to children, and we've got 13, 5 to 7. Now, we don't know how many men there are, we don't know how many women there are, we don't know how many children there are. What we do know is this extra bit of information here. 4,152 more men than women. Okay, so the number of men, so let's say capital M equal the number of men, and capital W is the number of women, and capital C is the number of children. What we know is that the number of men is the number of women plus this 4,152 figure. Okay, so these are the ratios. Let's put in how many men are there. Well, we don't know how many men there are, but we do know that that is W plus 4152. W plus 4152. And the number of women is obviously just the number of women. And the number of children is C. At least, I suppose, should be capitals. So we put them as capitals, let's keep them as capitals. Now, these are in ratios. What do we know about ratios and ratio squares? Again, what we know is if we draw a rectangle around these two, we know that the multiplication of the diagonals are equal. So let's do that. So we know that 13W is equal to 5 times W plus 4152. So that tells us that we can work out W. So let's multiply out the brackets. What's 4 times 5 times 4152? Let's get a calculator. Oh, come on. Thank you. So we've got 5 times 4152. 20,755. Okay, we're trying to find W, so let's subtract 5W from both sides. 13 minus 5 is 8W is 2755. So W is 2755 over 8. What's that? So just divide that by 8, and we get. Overdone on there. 415. It should be 4152, not 4151 here. Shouldn't have had a decimal value for the number of women. So let's just fix that. So I need to do that again. So let's just. So we've got 4152 times 5. 5 times 4152. 20,760. Just fix that. So notice I made a mistake and I thought, why would I have a decimal value of number of women? That can't be right. So I must have done something wrong. So let's divide that by 8 this time. So you should be thinking, you make mistakes like that, querying what you get. So the number of women is 2,585. Right, so what we could do is we can do another ratio square. So we've got our men, women, children. The number of women that we've got is 2,595. Okay, and we know the number of the ratios as well, 13, 5, 7. And we can now work out, using this ratio square, this capital C here. Okay, so in here we multiply the diagonals, and the diagonals are equal. So 5C, number of children, is 7 times 2595. Therefore C is 7 times 2595 divided by 5. So we're going to multiply that by 7, and then we're going to divide it by 5, not 85. We've done that wrong again. 7 times 2595 divided by 5. 3633. And that's the number of children. Question 18. Expand and simplify. Alright, okay, so let's first of all expand. Be careful expanding. 3x squared times 2x, well 3 2s are 6. X squared times x is x cubed. 3x squared times 5 is 15x squared. 2 times 2x is 4x. And 2 times 5 is 10. When we subtract, well, this is where classic errors can take place. Minus 6x times x squared is there's a minus 6x cubed. Now minus times this minus makes a plus. Well, people will be forgetting that. 18x. Okay, so when we simplify, 6x cubed minus 6x cubed is nothing. So we get 15x squared. How many x's? 4x here and 18x here. That's 22 of those. Add the 10. 15x squared plus 22x plus 10. Question 19. Solve some simultaneous equations. Well, the first thing that we should know is we need to get either the x is the same or the y is the same. So the easiest way to do that is to multiply that one by 3, expand it, and multiply this one by 2. So what we get here is 3 2s are 6x, 3 4s are 12, so minus 12y, 3 19s are 57, 2 3s are 6x, 2 5s are 10, so that's plus 10y, and 2 1s are 2. Okay, so now we can subtract them. So if that's 1, that's 2, what we're going to do here is we're going to do 2 minus 1. Doesn't matter if you do 1 minus 2 if you want to do, so we're going to this, take away this. 6x, take away 6x, there's nothing. 10y minus 12 is 10 plus 12, which is 22y. And 2 minus 57 is minus 55. So that means that y is minus 55 over 22. Okay, so, and then obviously 11 goes into both of those, so y is minus 5 over 2. How do we find out y? Well, we're going to substitute that back into one of these. Let's say this is equation A. So we're going to substitute y equals minus 5 halves into A. So we get 2x minus 4 times the value of y minus 5 halves equals 19. Okay, now we can multiply these brackets now. This is 20 over 2, which is 10. So we're going to subtract 10 from both sides. So x is 9 over 2. Okay, simple, simultaneous equations. Question 20. W is a positive number. Okay, and x is 10% more than w. So what can we do with that? If x is 10% more than w, then x is 110% of W, so that's 110% is 1.1 W. So X is 1.1 W. W is a positive number, so we know that W is greater than 0. And Y is 10% less than X. So Y is 10% less, that's only 90% of it. So that's 0.9 lots of X. So which statement is true? W is less than X. Is that true? Is W less than X? Well, W is greater than 0, and X is more than W. So it's 1.1 lot of W. So X is more than W. So W is definitely not less than X. So these two can't be correct. Is X greater than Y? Well, W is positive, so we have a positive value. If we multiply by a value by 1.1, it's going to be bigger than if I multiply by 0.9. So is X bigger than Y? Yes, that must be true. And is W bigger than Y? Well, W must be bigger than Y too, because X is 1.1 lots of W, Y is 0.9 lots of X, and so this must be the case here. This must be true. Another way of doing this would be to solve these two simultaneously here like this. Okay, so what we could do is substitute this X into here, so we get Y is 0.9 lots of X, which is 1.1 W. Then it might make it a bit easier to understand. So obviously 0.9 times 1.1 is 0.99, so Y is 0.99 W. So Y is obviously bigger than W. Y is obviously smaller than W because we're multiplying it by something less than 1, so that accounts for this one here. And X is greater than Y. Well, X is 1.1 W, but Y is 0.9, only 0.99 W, so that is also true. So that's another way of doing it. Question 21. N is a number, okay? As a product of prime factors in index form, N is 2 times 3 to the 4 times Y cubed. Okay, fine. N is 2 times 3 to the 4 times Y cubed. Work out 3n squared. So 3 lots of n squared is the same as 3 lots of n, which is 2 times 3 to the 4 times Y cubed squared. And remember, when we're squaring something, a product, for example, if we do A times B squared, then we square each individual one. This is the same as A squared times B squared. This time it's the same with 3 things, so A times B times C all squared is A squared, B squared, C squared. So this is 3 lots of, so we square 2 squared, which is 4, times 3 to the 4 squared. Well, what's 3 to the 4 squared? Laws of indices, we multiply these, this is 8, 3 to the 8. And Y cubed squared is Y to the 6. Remember, we multiply those together. So we want a product of prime factors in terms of Y. So that's what we get. This is all in terms of Y's, only numbers and Y's. So that's fine. So as a product of prime factors, is this prime? No. Because of this 4, we need to write that 4 as 2 times 2. So this is 3 times 2 times 2 times 3 to the 8 times y to the 6. That's our answer. Or we could just replace this. It says in index form, so actually we could replace this 2 times 2 with 2 squared. We should also notice that this is a 3 and this is a 3, so it's actually 3 to the 9 times 2 to the 2 times y to the 6. And that should be our final answer, actually. Question 22. Work out the length of PR. So non-right angled triangle cannot use Socotello because it's not right angled. If you get you use the sine rule if you know an angle and its opposite side. We don't know the opposite side to this angle, so we can't use the sine rule. It must be the cosine rule. And the cosine rule says that the opposite side of the angle squared, so PR squared, is these two squares added, 6 squared plus 9 squared, minus 2 times 6 times 9, times the cosine of the angle between the sides. Okay, so PR squared equals, let's work this out, 6 squared plus 9 squared minus 2 times 6 times 9 times the cosine of 120 degrees. 171. So PR is the square root of 171. Now, that's an exact answer. So that would be absolutely fine. Or we could potentially write it as a third, or we could do it as a decimal, 13.1 to 366. Iteration. We want to work out an approximate solution to this. All they've done is add the n plus 1 on the left and the n on the right, so they've done that for us. We're starting with x1 equals 1, so x2 is 4 minus 2 over x1 squared. But x1 is 1, so this is 4 minus 2 over 1 squared, which is 4 minus 2, which is 2. So x2 is 2. Now what did I say you should do for this? I said you should put this in your calculator. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our x1 in the calculator, like that. And then we're going to put the formula in here, replacing all of the xn's with answer. So this xn here is going to be the answer. We're going to do 4 minus, and you've got a fraction button, I don't, so I'm going to do 2 divided by, and then the answer squared, like that. There's my 2, okay, so there's my answer. Now, it says 2 decimal places, so that means I want to keep writing down my answers until they agree to 2 decimal places. So press equal execute or equals on your calculator, I get 3.5. So now we're going to get x4. That's 3.83673. x5, next one is 3.8641. Do they agree to 2 decimal places? Not quite yet. Keep going. x6 is 3.866055. x7 is 3.8661. That looks as though it's going to be the same to 2 decimal places. So notice that the 2 decimal places point here now hasn't changed because these are both 6s here. So my answer to 2 decimal places is 3.87 to 2 decimal places. Okay, next question. The ratio of A to B is 9 to 4. Okay, now you must remember that ratios are just like fractions. So instead of writing A to B, I'm going to write A over B. They are the same thing. Instead of 9 to 4, I write 9 over 4. Now we also know that 10B is 7C. This is just simultaneous equations now. And we need to write A to C, so we need to work out what A divided by C is. That's what we've got to find out. That's the ratio of A to C. Right, so, well, A is, if we rearrange, this is equation 1, this is 2. Rearrange equation 1 and we get A equals, multiply both sides by B, so it's 9 over 4B. So this is 9 over 4B. And we're going to divide that by C. We'll rearrange equation 2, we're going to get C is 10B over 7, dividing both sides by 7. Now this looks nasty, you've got fractions within fractions, but it's easy to tidy up. This is 9B over 4 divided by, so this divided by is this long divided by here, 10B over 7. We turn the second fraction upside down and multiply, because that's how you divide fractions. Now the b's cancel, and we end up multiplying this 9 sevens, 63, 4 tens, 40. So my ratio is 63 to 40. Question 25. Liquid is leaking out of the container. The graph shows the depth of the liquid for 60 seconds. Okay, use the graph to work an estimate of the rate of increase of depth. The rate of increase, remember the rate at which something changes is going to be the gradient. So it's the gradient at 10 seconds. So what we want to do is we want to go up to where the curve meets at 10 seconds, which is this point here, and draw a gradient down. So that's not right at the moment. I'm going to move this into place. So we're going to look something that's not great. It's just not easy doing this on the computer. I'm going to do it by hand. It might actually be slightly easier for me to do this by hand. Okay, hopefully that's a straight line. So what we're looking to do there is to now work out the gradient of that line. To do that, we do rise. Here's our triangle, look. Rise over run. So the gradient, which is the rate of depth at 10 seconds, is rise, which looks like 22, divided by the run, which looks like 31. And notice that the gradient is going this way, so top left or bottom right, so it must be a negative gradient. If you want to put that as a fraction, you can. Minus 22 divided by 31. Minus 0.71. That's 2 decimal places. There will be some tolerance, a little bit of tolerance for getting that straight line correct, that gradient correct. Question 26. The diagram shows a circle, center O, Points PQRS lie on the circumference of the circle. UST is a tangent. And before I start doing this question, I'm immediately thinking that this is circle theorems. Hopefully that's obvious. And secondly, I must remember that I might need to draw missing chords. I might need to draw missing radii. And also, because there's a tangent meeting the chord, I must be thinking about the alternate segment theorem. Okay, now that's without me actually doing it. That's what I'm thinking. Right, okay, let's see what goes on. First thing, I'm not exactly sure how to calculate this straight away. So, and it's 4 marks. So I'm going to start doing stuff on here that I know is right. First thing, I know that this is a right angle because a radius is a tangent at 90 degrees. That's one thing. What else do I know? Well, if that's 90 degrees, what else can I work out? I also notice that this is a radius and this is a radius. So that means that these two angles here are the same. That one there, this little one inside here, these are equal. Okay, well, that might help. What else do I know? I also know that this chord is subtending an angle to the center, this one, and also subtending an angle, this one, to the circumference in the same segment. And I should know the angle at the center is twice the angle at the circumference. So this angle here is 88 degrees. Now notice it's not asking me to describe where my answers come from. Don't need to do that in this case. Usually you will. You should learn those. Now if I know that that's 88, I can therefore work out what these are. Okay, I can work out this angle here because this is an isosceles triangle, 2 radii make an isosceles triangle. So these two angles here are 180 minus 88, and it's shared by 2 angles. So what is that? So let's do 180 minus 88 and divide by 2, and we get 46. So each one of those are 46 degrees. Right, okay, this is 46 then, here. This is 46 here. And what else do I know? I've got a cyclic quadrilateral here. Cyclic quadrilateral, and opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral add to 180 degrees. So I know that this angle x is 180 minus this angle here. So x is 180 minus 32 plus 46, which is 180 minus 78, which is 102 degrees. So notice how I just sort of picked it apart bit by bit by bit. Work out the value of y now. So how do I work out the value of y? I'll have to come back to that in the next video.